Salesforce Data Cloud Consultant exam practice questions with explanations are available in the video for you to study. A customer has a master customer table from their CRM to ingest into Data Cloud. The table contains a name and primary email address, along with other personally identifiable information, PLL. How should the fields be mapped to support identity resolution? A. Create a new custom object with fields that directly match the incoming table. B. Map all fields to the customer object. C. Map name to the individual object and email address to the contact phone email object. D. Map all fields to the individual object, adding a custom field for the email address. The answer is C. To support identity resolution in Data Cloud, the fields from the master customer table should be mapped to the standard data model objects that are designed for this purpose. The individual object is used to store the name and other personally identifiable information, P, of a customer, while the contact phone email object is used to store the primary email address and other contact information of a customer. These objects are linked by a relationship field that indicates the contact information belongs to the individual. By mapping the fields to these objects, Data Cloud can use the identity resolution rules to match and reconcile the profiles from different sources based on the name and email address fields. The other options are not recommended because they either create a new custom object that is not part of the standard data model, or map all fields to the customer object that is not intended for identity resolution, or map all fields to the individual object that does not have a standard email address field. A customer is trying to activate data from Data Cloud to an Amazon S3 cloud file storage bucket. Which authentication type should the consultant recommend to connect to the S3 bucket from Data Cloud? A. Use an S3 private key certificate. B. Use an S3 encrypted username and password. C. Use a JWT token generated on S3. D. Use an S3 access key and secret key. The answer is D. To use the Amazon S3 storage connector in Data Cloud, the consultant needs to provide the S3 bucket name, region, and access key and secret key for authentication. The access key and secret key are generated by AWS and can be managed in the IAM console. The other options are not supported by the S3 storage connector or by Data Cloud. A consultant has an activation that is set to publish every 12 hours, but has discovered that updates to the data prior to activation are delayed by up to 24 hours. Which two areas should a consultant review to troubleshoot this issue? Choose two answers. A. Review data transformations to ensure they're run after calculated insights. B. Review calculated insights to make sure they're run before segments are refreshed. C. Review segments to ensure they're refreshed after the data is ingested. D. Review calculated insights to make sure they're run after the segments are refreshed. The answer is B. C. The correct answer is B and C because calculated insights and segments are both dependent on the data ingestion process. Calculated insights are derived from the data model objects and segments are subsets of data model objects that meet certain criteria. Therefore, both of them need to be updated after the data is ingested to reflect the latest changes. Data transformations are optional steps that can be applied to the data streams before they are mapped to the data model objects, so they are not relevant to the issue. Reviewing calculated insights to make sure they're run after the segments are refreshed, option D, is also incorrect because calculated insights are independent of segments and do not need to be refreshed after them. Northern Trail Outfitters wants to use some of its marketing cloud data in Data Cloud. Which engagement channel data will require custom integration? A. SMS. B. Email. C. Cloud page. D. Mobile push. The answer is C. Cloud page is a web page that can be personalized and hosted by Marketing Cloud. It is not one of the standard engagement channels that Data Cloud supports out of the box. To use cloud page data in Data Cloud, a custom integration is required. The other engagement channels, SMS, email, and mobile push, are supported by Data Cloud and can be integrated using the Marketing Cloud Connector or the Marketing Cloud API. Which permission setting should a consultant check if the custom Salesforce CRM object is not available in new data stream configuration? A. Confirm the Create Object permission is enabled in the Data Cloud org. B. Confirm the View All Object permission is enabled in the source Salesforce CRM org. C. Confirm the Ingest Object permission is enabled in the Salesforce CRM org. D. Confirm that the Modify Object permission is enabled in the Data Cloud org. The answer is B. To create a new data stream from a custom Salesforce CRM object, the consultant needs to confirm that the View All Object permission is enabled in the source Salesforce CRM org. This permission allows the user to view all records associated with the object, regardless of sharing settings 1. Without this permission, the custom object will not be available in the new data stream configuration 2. Where is value suggestion for attributes in segmentation enabled when creating the DMO? A. Data mapping. B. Data transformation. C. Segment setup. D. Data stream setup. The answer is C. Value suggestion for attributes in segmentation is a feature that allows you to see and select the possible values for a text field when creating segment filters. You can enable or disable this feature for each data model object, DMO, field in the DMO record home. Value suggestion can be enabled for up to 500 attributes for your entire org. It can take up to 24 hours for suggested values to appear. To use value suggestion when creating segment filters, you need to drag the attribute onto the canvas and start typing in the value field for an attribute. You can also select multiple values for some operators. Value suggestion is not available for attributes with more than 255 characters or for relationships that are one-to-many, 1n. What does the source sequence reconciliation rule do in identity resolution? A. Includes data from sources where the data is most frequently occurring. B. Identifies which individual records should be merged into a unified profile by setting a priority for specific data sources. C. Identifies which data sources should be used in the process of reconciliation by prioritizing the most recently updated data source. D. Sets the priority of specific data sources when building attributes in a unified profile, such as a first or last name. The answer is D. The source sequence reconciliation rule sets the priority of specific data sources when building attributes in a unified profile, such as a first or last name. This rule allows you to define which data source should be used as the primary source of truth for each attribute, and which data sources should be used as fallbacks in case the primary source is missing or invalid. For example, you can set the source sequence rule to use data from Salesforce CRM as the first priority, data from Marketing Cloud as the second priority, and data from Google Analytics as the third priority for the first name attribute. This way, the unified profile will use the first name value from Salesforce CRM if it exists. Otherwise, it will use the value from Marketing Cloud, and so on. This rule helps you to ensure the accuracy and consistency of the unified profile attributes across different data sources. Which two dependencies prevent a data stream from being deleted? Choose two answers. A. The underlying data lake object is used in activation. B. The underlying data lake object is used in a data transform. C. The underlying data lake object is mapped to a data model object. D. The underlying data lake object is used in segmentation. The answer is BC. To delete a data stream in Data Cloud, the underlying data lake object, DLO, must not have any dependencies or references to other objects or processes. The following two dependencies prevent a data stream from being deleted. 1. Data transform. This is a process that transforms the ingested data into a standardized format and structure for the data model. A data transform can use one or more DLOs as input or output. If a DLO is used in a data transform, it cannot be deleted until the data transform is removed or modified to data model object. This is an object that represents a type of entity or relationship in the data model. A data model object can be mapped to one or more DLOs to define its attributes and values. If a DLO is mapped to a data model object, it cannot be deleted until the mapping is removed or changed. 3. What should an organization use to stream inventory levels from an inventory management system into Data Cloud in a fast and scalable, near real-time way? A. Cloud Storage Connector. B. Commerce Cloud Connector. C. Ingestion API. D. Marketing Cloud Personalization Connector. The answer is C. The Ingestion API is a RESTful API that allows you to stream data from any source into Data Cloud in a fast and scalable way. You can use the Ingestion API to send data from your inventory management system into Data Cloud as JSON objects, and then use Data Cloud to create data models, segments, and insights based on your inventory data. The Ingestion API supports both batch and streaming modes, and can handle up to 100,000 records per second. The Ingestion API also provides features such as data validation, encryption, compression, and retry mechanisms to ensure data quality and security. Northern Trail Outfitters, NTO, an outdoor lifestyle clothing brand, recently started a new line of business. The new business specializes in gourmet camping food. For business reasons as well as security reasons, it's important to NTO to keep all Data Cloud data separated by brand. Which capability best supports NTO's desire to separate its data by brand? A. Data streams for each brand. B. Data model objects for each brand. C. Data spaces for each brand. D. Data sources for each brand. The answer is C. Data spaces are logical containers that allow you to separate and organize your data by different criteria, such as brand, region, product, or business unit 1. Data spaces can help you manage data access, security, and governance, as well as enable cross-cloud data integration and activation too. For NTO, data spaces can support their desire to separate their data by brand, so that they can have different data models, rules, and insights for their outdoor lifestyle clothing and gourmet camping food businesses. Data spaces can also help NTO comply with any data privacy and security regulations that may apply to their different brands. 3. The other options are incorrect because they do not provide the same level of data separation and organization as data spaces. Data streams are used to ingest data from different sources into Data Cloud, but they do not separate the data by brand. 4. Data model objects are used to define the structure and attributes of the data, but they do not isolate the data by brand. 5. Data sources are used to identify the origin and type of the data, but they do not partition the data by brand.